I tap my phone to check the time and see 3 bank alerts lined up. At first, it just looks like my normal morning routine. I'm just drinking coffee in my small Boise apartment before work. But when I unlock my phone, my stomach just drops. 3 charges, all for the same amount. It happened overnight while I was asleep. My auditor brain kicks in before I can even get emotional. I put my coffee down, and it makes a little click on the coaster. Everything's in its place, like always. I keep my face perfectly straight. It's a mask I've perfected after 7 years of looking at other people's money problems. But my hands give me away, shaking a little as I tap to see the details. American Airlines. 3 separate business class tickets bought at 2:17 a.m. Impossible, I whispered to my empty kitchen. I haven't bought a plane ticket in months, and I definitely wouldn't do it in the middle of the night. I open my Gmail, but something's off. The password I've used for years isn't working. After 3 tries, a message pops up. Your password was changed 1 hour ago. I feel this cold wave like someone's invaded my life. Somebody was in my accounts while I was sleeping. I hit forgot password and pick the phone recovery option. A few seconds later, my phone pings with a code. I reset my password, log back in, and a notification shows me the recovery email they used for the change. p.anderson.mom@aol.com. P. My mother's email. I just sit there totally still processing it all like I'm at work. The evidence is all there. It's a clear pattern, but my mind just doesn't want to go there. Parents don't steal from their own kids. They just don't. I scroll through my inbox, and there they are. 3 flight confirmations already marked as read. Business class tickets to Maui. One for my dad, William, one for my mom, Patricia, and one for my brother, Brandon. Then my phone buzzes, a text. It's from my mother. Thank you for giving the family their dream trip. I knew you were always generous. I love you. The coffee tastes bitter in my mouth. My mind flashes back to last week, where this whole thing started. Mom made a group chat on a Tuesday night. Anderson Summer Retreat, 2026, she called it, like it was already happening. I muted it right away, but not before I saw her first message saying I'd offered to pay for it all. The family Zoom call 2 days later was a complete disaster. There I was at my kitchen table, trying to tell her she got it all wrong. Meanwhile, the rest of them are talking about what to do in Maui. Flights are around $860. Mom announced, her voice all sweet, but her eyes were sharp. Anyone who can't afford it will have to stay home. Emily, honey, you're the only one still single with no kids to worry about. I put on my auditor face, totally neutral, giving nothing away. I knew exactly what she was doing, using my life to make me feel like I had to pay. After the call, I messaged her privately. I've made it clear I am not paying for anyone, I typed. Simple, direct. Her reply was instant. Oh, sweetie, you forgot again. You promised your father at Thanksgiving. A lie. A flat-out calculated lie. And now 3 charges on my credit card I didn't make for $11,940. I take a deep breath, pull myself together, and call the bank's fraud department. My hands are shaking, but my voice is clear and professional. This is Emily Anderson. I need to report 3 fraudulent transactions on my account. The agent asks for details, and I give them to her step by step. When she asks if I know who might have done it, I only hesitate for a second. Yes, I say, this is identity theft. It was a family member. There's a pause on the other end of the line. Ms. Anderson, because you know who did it, you'll need to file a police report for us to dispute the charge and protect you. The words just hung in the air. Hung. Filing a police report against my own mother. My chest felt tight. But then I thought of the $54,800 in student loans I paid off, all those years of careful budgeting and working overtime. I think of this small apartment I can finally afford, where everything is organized just the way I like it. I'm thinking about those 3 business class tickets. Not economy for $860 like she told the family. No, these were $3,980 each. Bought while I was sleeping. Now I get it. I'll file the report today, I tell the representative. The second I hang up my phone, buzzes again. The bank already told the airline it was probably fraud. The tickets were canceled right away. Almost instantly, my phone starts blowing up with messages. It's from Mom. Emily, what did you do? The airline just called us. Then one from Dad. Call your mother right now. Fix this. And Mom again. We told everyone about this trip. You can't embarrass us like this. I put my phone down. My hands are finally steady. I look out the window and see my father's truck screeching into the parking lot. He parks crooked across 2 spots. He slams the door and stomps toward my building, his face already red with anger. I know what's coming. The yelling. The intimidation. It's the same game they've always played to get their way. but something's different inside me now. Maybe it's the auditor in me that sees the pattern so clearly. Their two mortgages, the $37,000 of credit card debt I found doing their taxes last year. This whole fake rich life they're living spending money they don't have. Or maybe it's just that they've finally pushed me too far. I stand up tall and straighten my shirt. I check my pocket to make sure my phone is recording. I'm ready to face my father, not as his daughter, but as a victim of fraud who has proof. Later that night, I'm just staring at my laptop screen. The blue light hurts my eyes as it gets close to midnight. I can't sleep. The feeling of being betrayed is just sitting on my chest. The words from the guy at the bank keep replaying in my head. We'll investigate, but it could take up to 10 business days. 10 days is too long to wait. I need to know how bad this really is. That old AOL account, pgarcia.mom@aol.com, is staring back at me from the screen. Mom made it years ago when I left for college, saying it was to stay connected. I never used it. I just thought it was another one of her moves to control me. Now I know what it was really for. There it is listed as the backup for my Gmail, my Amazon, my credit card account, all added without me ever knowing. She kept it active this whole time. I whisper it out loud. The truth just hits me like a punch to the gut. She was waiting for the perfect moment. I switch over to my bank's website and start scrolling through months of statements. At first, nothing stands out. Then I see a pattern hidden right in front of me. Small charges, little tests, a $14.99 charge at a grocery store I never go to, a $23.45 charge at a gas station in Meridian when I was at home in Boise. Each one was just small enough that I wouldn't notice it. My phone buzzes next to me. It's Dad. You'd better fix this by tomorrow. Your mother is a wreck. I put the phone face down and don't answer. It's the same old tactic. So predictable, it's almost sad. First, Dad gets angry. Then Mom starts with the tears to manipulate me. They haven't changed their game plan since I was 10 years old. William brings the fear. Patricia brings the guilt. I open a new document and start logging every single unauthorized thing I can find. Dates, times, how much they took. The auditor, part of my brain takes over. It turns the hurt into data, the betrayal into evidence. An email notification pops up. Aunt Margaret is forwarding a family message from my mom. I'm so sorry, everyone but our family trip might be canceled. The economy tickets, $860 each, are selling out, and Emily's having some kind of breakdown about helping the family. Please pray for her. I let out a bitter laugh. Business class at $3,980, not economy at $860. That's a $9,360 difference she just happened to leave out. The lie is so bold it actually takes my breath away for a second. I take a screenshot and add it to my evidence file. Then I notice the email chain underneath messages I was never meant to see. Aunt Margaret must not have seen they were there when she forwarded the message. It's from Patricia. We need to book soon before she changes her mind. Once the charges go through, she won't do anything. She hates a fight too much. William, her credit limit is high enough. We need 3 tickets. Patricia, she's been pulling overtime for 2 years. Trust me, she's got the credit. She'll fold once it's done, she always does. Family duty is her weak spot. I push back from my desk, my stomach in knots. They planned this for months, picking apart my finances, looking for my weak spots, talking about me like I was a walking ATM instead of their daughter. The next morning, totally exhausted, I dug in deeper. Bank statements were spread all over my kitchen table like evidence at a crime scene. My coffee went cold next to me as it all started to become horribly clear. My parents' whole financial situation was a house of cards. 2 mortgages were underwater. Credit card statements just showed minimum payments. I found collection notices they hid in their desk drawer when I helped with their taxes last year. The constant stream of new furniture and clothes and vacations, all just to look successful while they were drowning in debt. And I wasn't the only one. I found notes in my mom's handwriting about Aunt Margaret's card helping pay for a roof repair. Another note about cousin Stephanie kicking in for medical bills. My brother Brandon's trashed credit score suddenly made perfect, awful sense. I remembered how proud I was, paying off my student loans, $54,800 gone after 3 years of brutal overtime and living on rice and beans. The apartment I saved for, the emergency fund I built up. They saw all of it not as something I earned, but as a piggy bank they could raid. The very people who should have been proudest of me. This isn't about money, I said to the empty room, my voice stronger than I expected. It's about control. I grabbed my phone, opened my banking app, and turned on every security feature I could find. Two-factor authentication. Login notifications. Spending alerts. I changed every single password using random letters and numbers instead of anything personal. I changed my securities questions to nonsense answers no one in my family could ever guess. Then I made a new email account with a username that had nothing to do with me. I set up password managers, digital keys, authentication backups. Every new wall of security I put up felt like taking a piece of myself back. My phone rang. It was my mom. I hit decline and added a note to my evidence file. 8:42 a.m., third try. By the afternoon, I had every single one of my accounts locked down, and I'd written down every step I took. The bank confirmed the charges were still frozen while they investigated. The airline emailed me to confirm the tickets were officially canceled. The money would be returned once the fraud investigation was done. Outside, rain was tapping on my window. Inside, for the first time since I found the charges, I felt something other than just shock and betrayal. My hands weren't shaking anymore as I organized all my paperwork. I could breathe again as I got ready for the fight I knew was coming. I still felt completely alone. I knew I was standing alone against the people who were supposed to protect me, but underneath all that pain, something else was growing. I was getting ready. 2 days later, a loud banging on my door made the hinges shake. 3 heavy pounds, then silence, then 3 more. I've known that knock since I was a kid. It was my dad's way of announcing he was here. The pause between the knocks was just long enough for the dread to sink in. I slipped my phone into my hoodie pocket and started the recording app. Idaho is a one-party consent state. That means only I have to know this conversation is being recorded. I took a deep breath and opened the door. William Anderson filled the whole doorway, his face beet red over his polo shirt. Before I could say a word, he pushed right past me into my apartment. "What did you do?" His voice bounced off the walls of my tiny living room. "Cancel the dispute right now. Your mother is crying." I closed the door really slowly, just trying to buy a few seconds to pull myself together. "Hello to you too, Dad. Don't you dare get smart with me." He jabbed his finger right at my face, stopping just before he touched me. "Fix this now. Call the bank. Tell them it was a mistake." My phone buzzed in my pocket once, twice, 3 times, right in a row. Had to be family texts. I ignored it. "It wasn't a mistake," I said, my voice totally steady. "Someone got into my account without permission and charged $11,940 to my credit card. That's for the family trip. Your mom told everyone you were paying for the whole thing." I just kept my face blank like I do at work, just watching. "Did she tell them the tickets were $3,980 apiece for business class, or that they were $860 for coach?" His eyes darted away for a second. That's how I knew. "What's the big deal?" he asked. "Oh, just about a $10,000 difference, that's all." My phone went off again. I took it out, making sure it was still recording. 17 new texts in the family group chat. I scrolled through them real quick. Mom was telling everyone I forgot what I promised. Aunt Margaret said we needed an emergency family meeting at her place. My cousins were all chiming in, saying they were so disappointed in me. "See?" Dad pointed at my phone. "You're tearing this family apart. Margaret's having an emergency meeting tonight to talk about you." I just tilted my head. My behavior. What about Mom's behavior? Using my accounts without my permission. "Your mother was just doing what you said you'd do." I kept my voice totally calm, just like when I'm asking a client why the numbers are off. "When exactly did I promise to drop almost $12,000 on plane tickets?" "At Thanksgiving, he said. "I wasn't even at Thanksgiving last year." "I was working in Seattle, remember?" He just waved his hand. Whatever. It was some time. The point is, family helps family. When your brother needed bail money last year, I paid it. When your cousin's car needed a new transmission, Margaret took care of it. And that was my chance. Speaking of Aunt Margaret, how many times have you used her credit card without asking? His face froze for just a second, but it was long enough. I knew I was right. "That's totally different," he stammered. "We've used Margaret's card before. No one cared. She gets how things work in a family." He just admitted it. I wondered if he realized he just said that while I'm recording. "Does she know you charged $2,400 to fix the roof?" I was just guessing, throwing it out there. His eyes got a little wider. Another giveaway. "This isn't about Margaret," he said, his voice dropping into a low growl. "This is about you canceling our trip and making your mother look like a fool." "No," I said, cutting him off. "This is about the $11,940 you and Mom stole from me." We didn't steal anything, he yelled, slamming his hand on the kitchen counter. It's family money. Family money would mean I agreed to it, I said, and I didn't. And you lied to everyone about how much it cost. Coach tickets are $860, not $3,980. Why'd you need business class if it was all about family time? His face got dark. You think you're so much better than us, don't you? With your fancy job and your perfect credit score. You forgot where you came from. Oh, I remember exactly where I came from, I said, my voice quiet. I remember sleeping in the car when the power got shut off because you bought a boat instead of paying the bill. That was one time. He took a step closer, his fist tight. I didn't back down. Get out now, or I'm calling the cops and playing this recording. All the color drained from his face when he looked down at the phone in my pocket. You wouldn't dare. I already filed a fraud report with the bank, I told him. The police report is next. It's your call if you want to be here when they show up. He just stared at me for what felt like forever, his face a mix of pure anger and shock. Then he turned and yanked the door open. Your mother and I gave you everything, he said. His voice suddenly just tired. And this is how you pay us back. The door slammed shut. I locked it, then just slid down the wall and sat on the floor. My phone buzzed again. It was Aunt Margaret, not in the group chat, a private message. It said, Emily, what's this? I hear about your mother using my card. I was looking over my statements and saw some charges I just didn't recognize. Before I could even think, I got a text from my cousin Stephanie. It said, Hey, did Aunt Patricia ever borrow your credit card? She used mine for what she called a medicine emergency last month, but I just got hit with a bill for $1,100. And just like that, it all clicked. I wasn't the only one they did this to. I was just the first one to find out. My hands were shaking a little when I called the non-emergency police line. The dispatcher connected me to an officer who took my information like it was just another Tuesday. I gave him the dates, the amounts, and the name of the guy I talked to at the bank's fraud department. The officer gave me a case number, #81ID. We'll be contacting Mr. and Mrs. Anderson for a statement, he told me. He said the bank already sent over the first batch of documents on the unauthorized charges. I thanked him and hung up, and right then a notification popped up from my bank. Fraud investigation complete. Disputed charges, $11,940. Reversed. Funds will be back in your account in 2 to 3 business days. A second later, my phone started blowing up with calls. Mom, Dad. Mom again, Dad again. I silenced every single one, just watching the missed calls pile up. For the first time since I found all this out, I actually let myself cry. Not because I was sad, but because of this whole messy mix of feelings. Mostly it was relief. I felt vindicated and heartbroken, but also I knew what I had to do. It all just came crashing down on me. When the tears finally stopped, I opened a blank page on my laptop and started typing a letter to my parents. After 3 paragraphs, I just deleted it all. Some things can't be fixed with words. Instead, I opened my journal and wrote, Financial boundaries are emotional boundaries. You can't have love without respect. The words just felt right, a simple truth I should have seen years ago. I spent the next hour getting all my proof organized. I had screenshots of the fake charges, the email alert about them trying to get into my account. I had the text messages from my parents, and a transcript of that recorded call with my father. I saved copies of everything in 3 different places, my hard drive, the cloud, and in a locked email to myself. My phone buzzed, a notification about an emergency family meeting at Aunt Margaret's house tonight. Instead of feeling scared, I felt strangely calm. The weight of keeping this secret was gone. The whole scam was out in the open. I connected my phone to a small Bluetooth speaker and tested the sound on the recording of my dad. His voice filled my living room perfectly clear. We've used Margaret's card before. Nobody said anything. I tossed the speaker in my bag along with the printed bank statements and the police report. This emergency meeting wasn't going to go how they thought it would. For the first time in my adult life, I was walking into a family fight with more than just my word against theirs. I had evidence, I had allies, and I had the power of knowing I was right. It was time to break this cycle for good. On the day of the meeting, I parked 3 houses down from Aunt Margaret's place. My hands were steady on the wheel. I showed up exactly on time. Not early enough for them to gang up on me, and not late enough for them to call me dramatic. The voice recorder on my phone was tested and ready. I checked myself in the rearview mirror, putting on what my coworkers call my auditor face, neutral calm, giving absolutely nothing away. Remember why you're here, I whispered to myself as I grabbed the folder with the credit card statements. The evidence would do all the talking. 3 charges of $3,980 each, making a grand total of $11,940. The second I stepped inside Aunt Margaret's front door, 13 sets of eyes snapped over to me. The living room went dead silent. Conversations just stopped cold. They were all sitting in a semicircle like a firing squad, just waiting for the command. I knew the setup instantly. They'd all been told what to say against me. In the very center was my mother dramatically clutching a tissue. Her eyes were red, her mascara perfectly smudged to get the most sympathy. Dad was standing by the door, arms crossed, blocking the quickest way out. The message was crystal clear. No one was leaving until this was handled. "She's here," Aunt Margaret said, stating the obvious. Her voice was strained. She motioned to an empty chair right across from my mother, the hot seat. I took it without even hesitating, put my folder on my lap, and just waited. It's the first rule of my job, always let the other person talk first. It's always more powerful when people expose their own lies. "Honey," my mother started, her voice shaking with that fake vulnerability she's so good at. "We're all just so worried about you." I just stared, not saying a word. I don't know what's gotten into her. She kept going, talking to everyone while faking tears. Her audit job's just too stressful. The pressure has been building for months. My cousin Brandon leaned in. "Emily, your mom told us you're having memory issues, forgetting conversations, promises. Money stress really messes with your head," Aunt Margaret chimed in, right on schedule. I saw Dad shift his weight, inching closer to the door. A classic intimidation move. "Do you even get how much you've hurt your mom?" My 19-year-old cousin Melissa asked, her voice just dripping with the smugness of someone who was promised a free trip for this. She hasn't stopped crying for days, just crying and crying. I took a mental note of every accusation, just watching their little plan play out. The younger cousins were supposed to make me feel guilty. The older ones were supposed to make me look crazy. And my mother was pulling all the strings. Patricia dabbed at her dry eyes again. "We just want to know what's going on, sweetie. You seemed so excited to help with the family trip." Then, right on cue, her voice cracked. "You even called the cops." And there it was. My chance. "You want to know why I called the cops?" I asked, my voice totally calm and clear. The whole room went dead silent. I didn't wait for an answer. I just opened my folder and pulled out the credit card statements. I handed copies to Aunt Margaret and Uncle Richard, the ones who basically run the family. "These are my credit card statements. They show 3 charges for $3,980 each. That's a total of $11,940, all made at 2:17 a.m. while I was dead asleep." I kept my voice steady, like I was in a meeting. "They were bought using my Gmail account, which someone got into after changing my password. The recovery email was pegarciamom@aol.com. My mom's face got all red. "Those numbers can't be right." The airline confirmed these were business class tickets, not the $860 economy seats you told everyone about. I kept going like she hadn't spoken. "The police report number is #1ID if anyone wants to look it up." Uncle Richard's eyes went wide as he stared at the statement. "Business class," Patricia told us, "even economy was pushing it. That's not—" My mom started to talk, but Aunt Margaret cut her off. "Patricia, you did say that." She paused, and you could see the wheels turning in her head. "Last year, you were so sweet helping me set up my online bills." Right after that, a charge for $2,400 for a roof repair I never approved showed up. You could feel the room get 10 degrees colder. My cousin Stephanie looked up from the papers. Her face was white. "Last summer, after you borrowed my card for groceries when your purse was stolen, an $1,100 charge showed up from a medical clinic I've never even been to." My mom let out this fake, brittle laugh. "Everyone messes up with online payments. You can't seriously think." "I think we should all check our bank statements," Aunt Margaret said firmly, pulling out her phone. Dad stepped away from the door, not trying to be intimidating anymore, just angry. "This is family stuff. You're all blowing this way out of proportion over a simple mistake." "An $11,940 misunderstanding," Uncle Richard asked, his voice dangerously low. My parents just looked at each other. Mom shot up from her chair. "William, we need to talk about this at home." But when they tried to leave, Uncle Richard blocked their way. "I think we need some answers first, Patricia." I reached into my pocket and took out my phone. "You don't have to take my word for it," I said, connecting it to Aunt Margaret's Bluetooth speaker. "Take Dad's word for it." I hit play, and my father's voice filled the room. "We've used Aunt Margaret's card before. No one ever said a thing." My mom's face went ghost white. Dad just froze, hearing his own words played back. That's not what I meant," he stammered. But it was too late. Aunt Margaret got up from her chair and came to stand right next to me. This ends today. Cousin Stephanie grabbed her purse and pulled out her own bank records. I've got 3 misunderstandings right here that line up perfectly with Patricia's shopping trips. My brother Brandon, who'd been quiet the whole time, cleared his throat. They wrecked my credit. My score is 520 now because of loans I never even took out. Then one after another, everyone started telling similar stories. 3 generations of their victims, all comparing stories. We saw a pattern of financial games going back 2 decades. My parents backed into a corner as their old allies started to move away from them. The whole team they had built against me just fell apart right in front of my eyes. I'm so sorry I doubted you, Aunt Margaret said to me real quiet. We need to gather up all this evidence. Uncle Richard chimed in. I'll testify if you need me to. You could see his lawyer brain already listing what they did wrong. All of a sudden, my mom's tears were gone. Her eyes got cold and sharp, like she was looking for a way out. Dad's tough guy act just fell apart. He was just sitting there, shocked watching Mom's usual tricks fail for the first time ever. She hissed at him, "William, say something!" But he didn't say a word. He was crushed now that everyone knew. I could see the first cracks starting to show between them. He finally spit out, "How could you record me, trying to turn it around on me?" I just said real calm, "Idaho is a one-party consent state. That means only one person has to agree to be recorded." And I agreed. Aunt Margaret announced to everyone, "We need to set some clear money rules, starting now." My parents looked at each other, and you could see the fear. They were finally getting what was about to happen. They'd lost control of the story, and that meant they'd lost their power over us. The whole act they'd been putting on for decades, it fell apart in under an hour. I just stayed in my seat, letting my auditor face finally show a little bit of satisfaction. The tables had turned. For once, they were the ones trapped with nowhere to go. 2 days later, I saw them the second I pulled into my work's parking lot. It was my parents' silver Lexus, the one they still owed 2 years on for a 7-year loan. It was parked in near my spot, just idling, even though it was a nice spring morning. Mom was in the passenger seat, sitting bolt upright. Dad was just tapping his fingers on the steering wheel. It was obvious they'd been waiting for me. My stomach knotted up, but I kept my face blank. My auditor face. I parked 3 spots down and took my sweet time getting my stuff together. I saw Mom nudge Dad through my windshield. He cut the engine and they both got out. "Emily," Mom called out, her voice all sweet and fake. "Honey, we need to talk." I just locked my car and started walking to the front door, briefcase in hand, like I didn't even see them. My coworker Jill walked by and gave me a quick wave before heading inside. Mom cut me off halfway across the parking lot. Dad was trailing after her like a sad puppy. Her makeup was perfect, but the skin under her eyes looked thin as paper. She'd definitely lost weight since the family meeting 2 weeks ago. "Please," she whispered, looking around to make sure no one was listening. "Just 5 minutes?" I looked at my watch. "I have a meeting at 9. Dad cut in. "This is important," but his voice didn't have its usual boom. Mom reached into her designer purse, the one she got after maxing out her Nordstrom card last Christmas. She pulled out a bunch of papers. I knew that bank logo right away. A home equity loan application. Forms to pull money from their 401k. They were trying to cash out their lifelines. "Listen," Mom said, her voice getting even quieter. "The bank wants $11,940 by the end of the month. All you have to do is make one phone call to the fraud department." Her fingers were shaking a little as she held the papers. "Just tell them it was a mistake. Tell them you approved the charges." I just stood there completely still, watching how desperate she looked. "We'll pay you back," Dad added, his eyes nervously glancing at my office building. "We swear. We just need a little time to get the cash." I just said flatly, "You know I can't do that. Lying on a police report is a crime." Mom stepped closer and her perfume was so strong it felt like a poison cloud. "Think about what you're doing, Emily. Your father and I might not be at Thanksgiving this year, or Christmas." She reached out to grab my arm. "You'll be all by yourself. Is that what you really want?" I pulled back so she couldn't touch me. 2 more of my coworkers walked by, giving us weird looks. "Your choice impacts all of us," Dad said, his voice getting a little harder. "What are your cousins going to think, your aunts and uncles, that you'd just throw your family away over some little misunderstanding? A misunderstanding." The word felt like poison in my mouth. Mom's eyes narrowed. I could see her thinking. "What about your friends at work? It would be a shame if they got pulled into our family mess." She nodded over at my office. "You know how people talk, especially about daughters who are ungrateful and abandon their parents. Her words just hung there. The threat was crystal clear. "You're almost 30, Emily," she went on. Her voice got all soft and motherly, the way it used to when she wanted to make me give in. "No husband, no kids. We're all you've got. Family is supposed to stick together no matter what." More of my coworkers are walking by. I see Martin from accounting and Sarah from HR. They're trying not to look, but I can feel them staring. My reputation at work, the line I've always kept between my job and my private life. It all feels like it's about to fall apart. For a second, I start to doubt myself. I see everything that could go wrong if I don't back down. Holidays with empty chairs at the table, people at work whispering about me, the heavy feeling of being the one who cut my family off. I grip the handle of my briefcase tighter. But then I remember the recording and the bank statements, the same pattern going back for years. The $11,940 they took from me in my sleep. I look my mother right in the eye, then my father. "You don't owe me," I say. Each word is sharp and clear. "You owe the bank. Now get out of my way." My mom's whole face changes. The worried mother act is gone. There's something ugly and raw underneath. Her lips curl back into a snarl. "You think you won," she hisses, her voice getting louder. "You're going to regret this. You'll never have a family again. You're going to die all alone, you ungrateful little brat." Her voice rings out across the parking lot. A few of my coworkers just stop and stare. My dad grabs her arm to pull her back, but she rips it away. "After all we've done for you." Her voice is cracking with anger. "This is how you thank us?" I don't say a word. I just walk right past them, steady and calm. I can hear my dad behind me whispering urgently, "Patricia, stop." People are watching. The automatic doors to the office slide open. I walk inside and don't look back, leaving my parents standing there in the parking lot. The morning sun just shining on the mess they've made. 3 days later, a certified letter shows up at their house. It has my lawyer's name right on the top. Underneath, in bold letters, it says, "Cease and desist." I attached a copy of the police report case number 81ID about the identity theft by a family member. The last part warns them they could face criminal charges if they try to contact me again. The bank starts going after William and Patricia Anderson directly for the money. It's not my problem anymore. I've turned everything in. All the paperwork, the police report, the transcript of the recording, my credit history that shows the whole pattern of them getting into my accounts. Working as an auditor for 7 years taught me one thing. Be thorough. Follow the money, no matter where it goes, even if it leads right back to your own parents. News gets around fast in my family. My Aunt Margaret calls. She tells me my parents canceled their country club membership. My cousin Stephanie says she saw my mom at the supermarket. No designer purse this time. Uncle Richard tells me Dad's furniture store is cutting back its hours. Their whole financial world is falling apart piece by piece. The bank is suing them for the money they owe. Because of the fraud, all their other loans are in trouble now too. Their credit score has tanked. The mortgage company is starting to look at their loans, questioning the income they claimed when they first applied. I don't feel like I've won anything. I just feel this quiet sense that what goes around comes around. 4 weeks after that scene in the parking lot, my phone rings. It's my Aunt Margaret. I pause for a second before I answer. "Emily," she says, her voice is kind of cautious. "I thought you should know something. Your parents put their house up for sale." I'm sitting at my kitchen table, the same place this whole mess started, with 3 charges I didn't make. I just let that sink in. "Are you okay?" she asks after a bit of silence. I wonder, am I? The family is broken. It's like the cracks were always there, we just couldn't see them. Some of my relatives won't even talk to me anymore. But others like Aunt Margaret have surprisingly taken my side. I think about the future, all the holidays and birthdays that will never be the same again. "I don't know," I tell her, and I mean it. I'm still trying to figure it all out. We stay on the phone and talk for a little while longer. I hang up and notice my hands are steady. They're not shaking. Not anymore. I'm at my kitchen window waiting for my coffee. It's been 7 months since everything blew up, and little things like this still feel like a win. My apartment feels like a safe haven now, not just some place I lived. The security system's light is a constant reminder that I'm the one who decides who gets to be in my life. Behind me, my desk is all organized with folders for the financial workshops I'm creating. On the calendar next to it, next Tuesday is circled in bright red. It's for my debt-free celebration with 3 exclamation points. I made my last car payment yesterday. Just then, my phone buzzes with a text from Brandon. "Credit score hit 640 today. Thank you, Z. I smile, remembering his face when I offered to help him fix his credit after our parents wrecked it. Another text comes in from my cousin Stephanie asking about Sunday dinner at Aunt Margaret's. This little family we've put together feels more real than the old one ever did. The coffee maker beeps. I pour a cup and sit at the same kitchen table where I found out about the fraud 7 months ago. Same table, same mug, but I'm a totally different person now. My banking app shows a healthy savings account, not a screen full of fraud alerts. A notification pops up, credit score, excellent, 812. I remember how I used to hide this number from my parents. They would have just seen it as something to use, not something to be proud of. I open my journal and run my fingers over what I wrote yesterday. Financial boundaries are emotional boundaries. I get it so clearly now. I used to think I was weak for not being able to just help family. Turns out that was my strength. You can't have real love without respect. The doorbell rings right at 9 o'clock. It's Brandon grinning and holding up his phone to show me his credit report. I didn't actually think it would work, he says, coming inside. Dad always said you just use credit until you can't anymore. I guess that's what they needed to believe to justify it all. It's not magic, I say, pouring him some coffee. It's just about doing the work and sticking with it. He nods and sits in what's become his chair. The kids' college funds are set up. It's the first time in my life I've ever saved money. How does it feel? Weird, he laughs. A good weird. He pauses, stirring his coffee. Remember when Dad would take us to that expensive steakhouse every time the credit card bills came in? And Mom would complain about being broke the whole way there. I laugh, something I couldn't have done a few months ago when thinking about them. Their thinking was so twisted. Spend money to feel better about not having any. My phone rings. It's Aunt Margaret confirming Sunday dinner. We're planning a small get-together, just the 5 of us, in this new family we've made by choice, not by force. Last month, she made a toast. To the family we choose, not the family we tolerate. That's basically our motto now. Tomorrow, I'm leading my 3rd financial workshop at the community center. I tell a version of my story without names to help people spot the red flags I missed for so long. Turning my pain into a way to protect others gives what happened a purpose. My boss called yesterday about the senior auditor job. He said the way I handled the fraud case showed real integrity under pressure. Life's changing in ways I never saw coming. I close my journal thinking about what I'll write tonight. You can't love without respect, and you can't have respect without boundaries.